You know, it would be really nice if statists actually stopped and analyzed their arguments for consistency before they just blurted them out. But sadly, they don't. Case in point, today's state myth debunked. The myth this time is simply the argument that anarchy demands too much faith in humanity. You all know this one. Oh, you can't just have people running around with no rules, everyone would just kill each other, and so on and so forth. Like all statist arguments, this one has a creationist counterpart. The argument that it takes more faith to believe everything came by chance than by intelligent design. And just like the creationist argument as well, it's an argument out of complete ignorance of the subject it attempts to disprove. Though rather than explain the fallacy of trusting an elite minority with the ethical immunity to use violence and claim opposition of such to be naivety, and explain for the bazillionth time that anarchy does not mean a world without rules, I'm simply going to present a parallel to consider. Now tell me, what do you think about arranged marriages? It was a common practice through much of history, and indeed some cultures still practice it. You get the image of innocent young people forced into loveless marriages so that their parents can secure wealth and property. I'm guessing you view it with contempt. If so, congratulations. You do have empathy and respect for human dignity. So far so good. But now, imagine if your own government proposed that they take up this practice. Imagine they created a council of bureaucrats who match people up according to whatever methodology they deemed suitable and declare that you had to marry the one they picked out for you for the good of society and to ensure peace and order was maintained. How would you react to this? I'm going to take in the shot in the dark and think that you'd be outraged. Your reaction would be something along the lines of, "Hey, who I marry is none of your business. Who do you people think you are?" To which the proponents of arranged marriage would probably reply, "What, you don't want a securing marriage that makes it safer for everyone? What's the matter with you? You just want anyone to be able to marry or divorce anyone? You like breaking people's hearts or something? Why don't you try thinking of someone else instead of just yourself?" and so on and so forth. Sound familiar? Yes, that's right. Marriage in the free world is mostly anarchic, and we wouldn't have it any other way. We'd be furious if someone tried to take that from us, no matter what pretense of altruism he claimed. Well, guess what, folks? I and others like me feel that way about our health, our finances, and all other aspects of our lives too. We resent and reject the notion that some unelected bureaucrat knows how to live our lives better than we do. It has nothing to do with us hating the poor, wanting the sick to suffer. It has nothing but a baseless character assassination to avoid making any real points. Much like how theists try to say atheism means you worship the devil or have no sense of morality. Now, this is particularly addressed to all the stateists out there. You know who you are. The ones who don't believe in God but hold up the state as some kind of higher moral authority instead, completely missing the whole point of free thinking. Now before we go off on the usual tirade about how anarchists are religious fanatics, much like how theists try to say that about atheism, I'm really sensing a pattern here, let's just get one thing straight. If you don't think you're qualified to run your own life, if you think some politician is better qualified to spend your money than you are, by all means, send him a check. Bow before him for all I care. I assure you, I would never try to use violence to prevent someone from living their life however they saw fit. That's how much I respect my fellow man. I may not agree with their decisions. I may try to advise them to reconsider, but I will always allow them the dignity to make their own choices. All I ask is some reciprocation. Just like I often have to explain to theists, you're welcome to believe whatever you want and live however you want. But you are not entitled to wave your beliefs around and demand that everyone adhere to them as well. This means no, you don't get to take my money by force and pay it into a cause that you believe in, regardless of my personal wishes. The theist can tell himself he's helping people into heaven, and you can tell yourself you're helping society. It's still just using violence to get your way. No amount of sugarcoating changes the immorality of it. A slave owner can be as nice to his slaves as he wants to. Owning another human being is still immoral. There's just no two ways about it. The stateists especially I'm ashamed of when they do this. You hate it when theists try to manipulate laws to enforce their beliefs because they're using violence to force their views on you. And yet, you then turn around and demand that I be forced to fund socialized health care, public education, or whatever other endeavors just because you think they happen to be the best thing since super sliced bread. I ask you this, then on what grounds do you oppose teaching creationism in school or Sharia law courts? Because the unsubstantiated beliefs they want to violently force on society are false, whereas the unsubstantiated beliefs you want to violently enforce on society are true? Get serious, folks! I don't object to people personally investing in any cause they believe in. I have no objection to helping the poor, healing the sick, or even sharing your spiritual beliefs. But when you bring the violence of the state into the picture, you don't get to claim the moral high ground. Your motives are irrelevant. If you use violence to achieve your ends, you are supporting evil. That is my objection to religion and to the state, because they are both institutions of violence. If you want to debate me on this, I always welcome it, but you first have to make the case that the initiation of violence is not immoral, or else there's nothing to talk about, because that's the core of the whole issue of this with me. Well, I hope this made some sense to anyone listening. Until next time, be aware and be wise.